Hello, and welcome to the Ignite Christian Business Podcast. We're so glad to have you here with us today. Join us as our host, Kraig Bougher, sits down with Rich Bontrager for a discussion about the recent Ignite conference, what God's been highlighting to them as leaders, and the future of Ignite. This episode is brought to you by Ignite Christian Business, a community of business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs dedicated to the idea that Jesus is in business. Is he in yours? Find out more at ignite-cb.com. Let's listen in.
Oh, Rich. Every time I see you, man, you got so much stuff going on. My gosh.
It's fun. I love it. It's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. Oh gosh. Well, guys, I wanted to get back to everybody in regards to the Ignite conference. What an exciting time that we had, and God moved in such a great way, a powerful way. And today we've got Rich Bontrager with us, and he was one of our speakers there. And again, he was such a great help to us getting this thing off the ground. Was such a great help on some of the things that he helped us out to be able to do, and really orchestrated this whole thing kind of behind the scenes on probably what we should be doing, those type of things. So I appreciate, Rich, I really appreciate your leadership and your knowledge that you really brought to this. And I want to thank you. And I love what God's doing in your life. I love your testimony. And Rich, share a little bit about, some of the things that you went over there at the conference, and maybe even kind of go into, what brought you to where you're at today.
Well, Kraig, first of all, amazing job with Ignite. God laid something on your heart. It was big. It was a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. And one of the goals was it was going to be a short, fast-moving plan of action to bring this thing together. So hats off to you and to the team you assembled to pull together this God-said event. It was great to be there and see what God did, to see how all the pieces. That was one of the fun parts for me. And we had talked about would I kick it off or would I finish it? And you asked me which one. And I said, hey, just put me wherever you want. But at the end, what I had pre-planned to talk about, what God wanted me to talk about in the area of risk, there were so many elements that everyone else had touched on throughout the 2 days. It was like I was able to bring it all together and wrap it up with a nice tight bow for God. And it was magical. So again, part of that pre-planning that we did, the strategizing, really was following God's spirit, which is one of the best things we did through this. We did not overly plan, organize, and strategize the different speakers. We let God put the puzzle pieces together. Yeah. So again, kudos to you for that. Now, when it comes to these type of events, I love creating events. I've been doing this with radio and TV, and now this whole virtual stage for years. And I love helping people create and bring in their events to life. You had a clear picture of what you wanted to do. And then it was like, okay, how am I going to do it? And it was great to have different members of your team, from Cap to Ben to myself, to help flesh out what that was going to look like. And I'm a visionary leader. So I actually see things, Kraig, that you will describe in words. And I actually love bringing them to light. Like when we walked in the room together, you and I saw a very open, spacious, spread out room. And the first thing we said was we need to change it because the vibe was not right. We wanted a certain vibe of collectiveness and unity and people being brought together. So we quickly rearranged the room to make sure we got that. Yeah. That's what I love being a part of. I love being a part of creative, dreaming teams like that. And that's my background. I've done stage, I've done theater, I've done radio, I've done TV. It's all those elements that are brought together. That's what God has brought me. Now, you asked a little bit about my past. As a pastor, I planted a church. There was no church when we started our church. It literally was in my living room with my family of 5 and one other person. And as we grew, that same visionary power that God gave me came through as we moved to a small school. We were in a daycare with Elmo on the wall praising God. And people thought I was crazy. And then we moved to a movie theater. We were the church at the movies for 7 years. And then we finally got to that coffee shop experience that I shared about during the Ignite. And literally, I could walk into these various buildings and I could see what was unseen. I could see how we were going to lay it out, plan it out, and how people were going to come in the door and we move them over here and make them feel good with coffee and donuts and celebration and bring them into a place of worship and experience and teaching, and then send them out empowered to go. That's always been a part of what I do. So that's a God thing. That's not something I'm wired to do. That's really a God thing. So working with you definitely brought together all those experiences of my past of ministry, broadcasting, media, and I was able to support you and help you with that.
Wow. So much fun. So Rich, so many people that were there, business owners, Christian business owners, and the business leaders. What would they come to you for services? What is it that you would be able to bring to them?
So what I talk about more and more is the brand of you. What is your brand identity? Who are you besides that thing you sell? Most people focus on what you're selling. I focus on you as the seller, as the mouthpiece, as the expert. And with social media, with TV and streaming content now, you have to know who you are as the brand identity, as the brand voice. So I help you with speaking skills, presentation skills. How do you come across on camera? How do you, what I call, rock the stage? Now, this is for educators. This is for pastors that are now learning how to do church online. This is for people like our Heavenly Waffle friends. How do you now present that in a way that people get how amazing this is? But it's not just the products of those waffles. That husband and wife combination, they are the brand, their personalities, their heart for Christ. That's what you also need to communicate now, because people will buy and sell and trust you, not just because of your product, because of who you are more and more. They want to know you. They want to trust you. They want to feel your heart. And that elevates our leadership and our influence in our world. So I help people grow that with these brand of you media skills.
Rich, how do they get a hold of you?
Rich at richbontrager.net. It's really easy. I'm also on LinkedIn, Rich Trigger Bontrager. There's only one of me out there, Kraig, thank goodness. But I love to help people do exactly what we did with your event. And I love to help leaders grow and expand in this new world. It is a new world. Yeah. And these new skills are absolutely needed to grow and thrive. And of course, in the church right now, Kraig, we do not know what the church will be like, because we got shut down. We got pushed back. We got pushed into a corner. And now we have to use these virtual skills to communicate the most important message, the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Wow. So guys, if man, I would reach out to Rich. I would be able to, I don't know. He's just been a great friend, a great partner. And I would encourage you guys to reach out to Rich as well. And if he can't help you out, I guarantee that the type of person that Rich is, he's going to point you in the right direction. So Rich, if you were starting over in today's world, knowing what you know, and living in the world that we're living in today, and let's just say you were just starting off, you wanted to become that business owner, what would you do? How would you do it? What would you do differently?
I would go buy a camera right away. I would go get a laptop or a camera right away, and I would start practicing on my camera presence, on my messaging, on my persona, and the way I come across here, because it is broadcasting 101. You must know how to play and talk to this camera lens, fall in love with the camera, fall in love like that camera is your best friend. It's your girlfriend, it's your wife, and learn how to communicate through that. I did radio for almost 20 years before I ever really got on camera and TV. I should have learned the TV side far earlier. If it was today, I should have learned it today on the TV side much greater. Now, podcasting is huge. You have to use podcasting too, but it's media skills. I would go and learn camera, media, production, iMovie, all these new tools. Or number two, I would hire somebody that knows it and put them on my team right away. Say, I need you on my team to make us a media-minded company.
Yeah. Wow. And there's that fear. There's that fear of being on camera. There's that fear of, well, I don't sound very good, or I don't look good on camera. It's funny, all the different comments that you hear, but they're kind of common of what you hear of people starting off in this. How do you tell someone to overcome some of that, some of those
So, you know, my
obstacles?
backstory, I stutter for a living. I
That's
should
right.
not be
That's
on
right.
microphone. I never should have made it in radio. I've had 30 years of radio, sportscasting, interviewing, talk shows, and I stutter. Get over yourself. Let God take over. One of the early things I had to learn was my speed of my mouth and my head have to come in sync. They have to be in the right sync, the right frame. So when I figured out that speed that I could communicate in, that was a God thing. I never had any coaching, never special therapy. I let God work on me to learn that. So get over yourself. And people like the authentic more than they like the well-produced, especially in this new day and age. They want to know you inside and out. So be yourself.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you can edit and delete, Kraig, as many times as you want. If I don't like the way it came across, nobody will know it because it's deleted. It's gone.
Yeah.
So I have no fear anymore. All I now have is a new tool to share the things I need to share.
Yeah, that's so good, Rich. You know, even with myself, you know, you've been such a great encouragement for me to take some of these next steps. Cap has been such a big influence, you know, as well to do some of these things. And you know, even putting this conference together. I mean, this was something the Lord laid on my heart, you know, to do this. And I just thought, wow, I'm kind of uncomfortable in certain areas of this thing. And a couple of people would encourage me, you know, hey, you know, what are you going to speak on? And I just thought, well, I don't want to be one of the speakers. I just want to host it, I think. But yet at the end of it, you know, right beforehand, there was this nervousness I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I want to do it with excellence, but yet, you know, I don't have what Rich has. And, you know, you start comparing, but at the end of the day, I look back and Rich, the first thing that came to my mind was how much fun I had doing that. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I look forward to the next one. And again, just some of the testimonies that are coming forth from this, Rich, and I can't take any of the credit, and I know you would be the same way. This God took a hold of this, and he brought the content that you know, I believe that people needed to hear, and there is a hunger there. And Rich, what do we do next? What is next with this Ignite?
So I think next, first of all, is to keep celebrating and sharing what we just experienced. We have the videos, we have so much content to repurpose, and repurposing that content is important. And we're already planning for 2022, Kraig. We've already got it on the calendar. We do know a date. We are praying and strategizing about what is that message. But I believe the key component we must stand firm on, this is for business leaders and influencers for Christ. Because more and more, we need to have business leaders to understand how to stand in the gap. They need to understand the tools and the resources, which is what's big. You and I spent a lot of time talking, not another conference to just talk. We wanted a conference with tools, actionable things you could walk away with. I'm going to do this in my business. I'm going to start this part of the engine. I'm going to change this. We need to have tools for you to utility belt, because the world has changed so much. We can't do business the same. And as Christian leaders, and this is one of the things I wanted to say clearer at the end of my message. I didn't say it maybe clear enough, I don't think. God is a God of creativity. Why aren't we? God is a God of creativity. The Christian leaders of this world, the Christian business leaders, should be some of the most creative pioneer leaders out there. Why aren't we leading and pioneering with the creativity God has given us? Don't be afraid. Don't hold back. Don't shrink. Instead, advance. So people can see the power of God working through you in your business.
So good. So good. That's powerful. You know, you look at what holds us back. And I think we've talked about it a little bit, Rich. I think there's that fear of just stepping outside the boat. And I think we become so content with some of the things maybe we've achieved, and it's just we're looking at the smaller picture instead of that bigger picture. And I just think that, man, we need to step up. We need to step out. What do you think the difference? How would you define the difference between surviving and thriving?
The difference between surviving and thriving in this new world really is, I think, and I talked about it, it's risk. Mm-hmm. You have to risk. Look at the Bible, read the stories, remember the amount of risk the early disciples, that Moses, that Abraham, that Ruth had as leaders. I just talked to someone about Nehemiah. He was a great architect, a great leader, a great visionary, but the risk that they had, they trusted God more than they trusted themselves. They trusted God's provision more than their own. They trusted God would open doors and they didn't have to do it themselves. However, God also said, you must go do it. You must step out of the boat. You have to invest yourself into it. So to me, it is a risk and a vision. And the vision has got to be wrapped around, we need to care for people more than people think necessary. We have a hurting world. And business leaders, whatever you sell, whatever you market, whatever you do, it's got to be about caring and serving people in whatever your sphere of influence is. So care and risk and go big.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Rich, you answered it before, but how would you answer it now? Jesus is in business. Is he in yours? How would you answer that?
Jesus has always been in my business, and that's been one of the blessings I've been able to have. I talked about that during my presentation. I've been inside the church full as a pastor, and I've spent a vast majority of my career at the same time overlapping in the quote-unquote secular world as a sports broadcaster, media person, and he has always been in my business. And the best fun I've ever had, Kraig, has been when I'm interviewing a coach or a player, and I know they're a fellow believer. I get to ask them questions and let them talk about God in a sports interview that they normally would not have the opportunity. I literally get to drop God into the conversation and bring God front and center. So yes, God is in my business, and I love to make sure he is ever present like that.
Yeah. Rich, you're a great guy. And one of the things that I've gotten to know about you is even in setbacks, even in hardships, you never gave up, and you're a fighter, and that's why you'll always have success. And you're a great example to me and to so many others out there. And I appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate what you do. And I would say to you, just let's keep, like you said, let's keep advancing. Let's do this. Let's go. And let's continue to get better, and let's take more ground. I love it. I love you, and I think this is great. Rich Bontrager, and I'll have the information, some more information on how to get a hold of Rich right below. And Rich, thank you.
Thanks, Kraig. And again, we look forward to Ignite 2022.